What's up, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of Hot Takes Cold Truths. Let's go. Let's do it. During the NBA Finals, well, the NBA playoffs in general, a lot of people were doing a lot of hate watching. One team gets bounced, the next, you rooting for the team that they're going against. And through that, a lot of, crazy topics came up. Like one, for instance, my very own Knicks missed out on the opportunity to win the NBA Finals. So that's what we're talking about today. Did the Knicks lose out on a chance to win a championship? So to start off, we got to look at some takeaways from last season. First, they finished 13th in defensive rating. They finished 5th in offensive rating. Finished 8th in net rating. Finished 17th in assist percentage. Finished 9th in offensive rebound percentage. Finished 12th in defensive rebound percentage. Finished 9th in rebound percentage. Finished 7th in turnover percentage. Finished 10th in true shooting percentage. Finished 26th in pace and 24th in possessions. And they were the third seed in the East. They beat Detroit 6 games in round 1. 6 games they beat Boston in round 2. And lost in 6 games in round 3, or the Eastern Conference Finals, to the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers then went on to lose in 7 against OKC. And OKC wins the title. What does these numbers mean? Well, defensive rating, 13th. That means their defense was a little above average. Not even a little above average. It was pretty average. Their offense was great. Assist percentage means a lot of their possessions came off of just them doing them. ISO ball, not passing the rock around. 9th in offensive rebound, which means they kept going on their their offensive rebound game that they had from last year, especially when Mitch came back. 12th in defensive rebounds, which means they allowed other teams to get a lot of offensive rebounds. 9th in rebound percentage in general. They were great with rebounding. I mean, okay. You not really, but okay. Their turnover percentage, 7th. They were okay with turnovers. 10th in true shooting percentage. They were good with their, shots. 26th in pace. They were really slow. 24th in possessions. They didn't have as many possessions as most of the league did. 3rd in the East is a great place to be, but let's break down a couple things. 1, yes, the Knicks had a 13th in defensive rating, and that's okay. That's an okay ranking to be at. But don't get fooled by that number. The Knicks have a very big defensive lapse, and it's against teams with good pacing, good passing, and good three-point shooting. Those 3, if you have one of the 3, Knicks are in a dogfight. So, and I'll explain why now. When people are like, oh, they struggled against Detroit, they're not beating the Celtics. And why they were like, oh, they struggled against Boston, they're not beating Indiana. Why that made no sense. I'm about to break that down too. Detroit was 21st in assists, right? Percentage. Worse than the Knicks. But they were 11th in pace. And that high pace that... Remember, the Knicks are 13th in defense. They're pretty average with defense. So when you're going... You got people like Brunson, like Karl-Anthony Towns, not being able to read a switch. Not being able to... Whoa, where do I go? Which is causing either mismatch, miscues, free open shots, which we saw a lot in the Detroit series. There was miscues and open shots, and most of the games were really close, mainly because of the pace. And then once Detroit started bringing up those assist numbers, games got even closer. That game, what was it? I think game 5 or game 4, where that Josh Hart fouled Tim Hardaway Jr. It literally came down to the last shot on multiple games. The last stretch on multiple, if not all games. And that's because not only did Detroit have pace, but they started bringing up their assist numbers. Then when you go to the Celtics, at first I was confused, right? I was confused. When I was one of those, I'll be quite honest, because I said Knicks have no chance against the Celtics. This is probably going to end in 5. I'll give the Knicks 1 game, maybe 2. But when they pulled off those first 2, when they pulled off the first comeback, I'm gonna tell you guys the story, right? So they pulled off the first comeback, and I think I was watching it with my dad, and I was like, "Dad, the Knicks, yo, they really just did that." But I was studying it, right? Because I'm like, this seems odd. I was like, you know what? Celtics shot historically bad. It's not gonna happen again. I was with every Celtics fan. As a Knicks fan, I was with every Celtics fan. Not gonna happen again. And then it happened again. And that's when I really began to like dig deep and watch film and realize the things I'm talking about right now. And that's what brought up a lot of the things I'm talking about right now. The Celtics, yes, they were passing the ball here and there, but it became a point where they started shutting down, and it was very ISO heavy ball. Jason Tatum just driving up and just popping in front of people's faces. Jaylen Brown just driving in on 5 Knicks players. For what reason? Who knows? And then you started seeing moments where they started, going on little runs, because that's when they started doing the assist numbers, But the pacing of the Celtics as well is what killed them. If you have a slow pace with a bad defensive team like the Knicks, at the end of the day, they're NBA players. They're going, and it's in the playoffs, they're going to get away with a lot. You're getting away with hand checking in the playoffs. You can bump hole in the playoffs. So it helps those non-defending players like Karl-Anthony Towns, like Brunson, when you have a slower pace. Because now they could be like, oh, how many times have we seen Karl-Anthony Towns do like using elbow, using arm? We've seen all the social media posts about that. So when you have a slower pace, you allow stuff like that. If you have a faster pace, once he uses that elbow, use that arm to push you back or push off, guess what? Refs calling that foul because they seen you. You're flying. You going so fast, you flying when he does that now, right? So their pace allowed, and then we're not gonna act like OG and Mikal Bridges aren't good defenders. So that pace allowed the good defenders to be amazing, and the bad defenders to be good. But what did Boston have that allowed them to have 2 games, to allow them to dominate those first 2 games until the last quarter, to dominate game 3, to dominate game 5? Was their 3-point shooting. At the end of the day, if the Celtics had better pacing, moved the ball more, those 3-point shots, those assists that they would have been getting, that fast pace, they would have wore the Knicks down and blew them out. There would have been no comeback. It would have probably been 6 the other way, or 5 the other way, right? So we already talked about Detroit, why they struggled against Detroit, the pacing. How they beat the Celtics, pacing and assists. Now, why did they fall to the Pacers? Everybody was talking about, oh, Knicks got this. Even ESPN, First Take. Oh, Knicks in 7. All season long. Once again, 3-point shooting, assists, and pace are things the Knicks can't keep up with. One thing that they had going for them as well in the Celtics and the Detroit series, whether people liked it or not, was that Tibbs played them a lot of minutes. So, like the Pacers, how the Pacers pace keeps them in games, and that ball movement keeps them in games because at the end, the 4th quarter, they're tiring teams down. The Knicks also have that conditioning where they're used to playing these 40 minutes, these long spans of minutes, these long runs. So while you're getting tired, I'm like, oh, this is a regular day in the office. However, when it came to the Pacers, the issue was who can use their level of conditioning to their advantage. Will the Knicks do a marathon? Slow the Pacers down, make them do like a marathon speed, and that way using their bodies, their strength to tire the Pacers out? Or will the Pacers outrun them and tire the Knicks out? Then you have the ball movement. As much as I will not agree with people who call Tyrese Halliburton a superstar, I will always give him credit for his playmaking ability. The Pacers' ball movement killed the Knicks. It was moments where Halliburton would come in, kick it out to someone, that someone would kick it back to Halliburton. Halliburton would look like he's driving, do a weird step back, pull up the three. That ball movement. And what did the Knicks look like? They look like idiots. They're just running around, tripping over each other, stuff like that. One of the things I forgot to put up here is Josh Hart. Josh Hart was a big downfall for the Knicks. And not because he doesn't play well, but because, I don't know if he's scared, but he doesn't shoot the three, so teams don't respect him when he's at the three-point line open. They're able to double team a Cat. They're able to double team a Brunson because of Josh Hart being there. It's not like with Mitch, where if Mitch was in there, a team, center staying down there because he's like, oh, shoot, Mitch might come in, run in, alley-oop, boom. As we saw a couple times in the playoffs, Josh Hart, he doesn't have any of that. Offensive rebound, okay, you got the offensive rebound. What is he going to do? Kick it back out? So with Josh Hart, with the assist percentage being low, with the pace being slow, all these things, defensive rating, you're not able to switch and stuff like that. It was a failed thing for them. They failed. And why was it that they blew their window here? Is because if you look at OKC's, yes, they're fifth in pace, but they're 26 in assist percentage. 26, which means most of their game comes from ISO. Just like they're literally a faster Knicks team. That's all the OKC is, a faster Knicks team. And that is why it hurt for Knicks fans to see the Pacers go on, because Knicks fans knew they could beat OKC. And I know people are gonna throw, but they went they didn't beat the OKC in the season. Okay, they also didn't beat Boston in the season. They also were down 3-1 in the season series against Detroit. They were also up in the season series against the Pacers. Season series are out the window. It doesn't matter. The playoffs are a whole different ball game. And in the playoffs, if you look at when OKC and Indiana were playing each other, me and my pops were saying this a lot. SGA and J Will, they both played a very ISO heavy game. It was, SGA at the 3-point line, boom, 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 step back three, whether it went in or not. Jay Williams, he's dribbling. Oh, he's driving in, and then he just felt like he just threw something up. The Knicks thrive defending things like that. Why? Because I should just throw OG and Mikal Bridges on them. Okay, now my worst defenders don't have to worry about the two people that's going to hold the ball majority of the time. All my worst defenders have to do is go to the 3-point line when someone finally gets the kick out and just put their hand up. Not saying that the Knicks would have won, but the Knicks had, to me, a better chance at beating OKC than the Pacers did. Indiana Pacers were forced to look at TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell literally had to do what Brunson always does. I'm not passing it. I'm doing all this. He, in Game 7, was the only one who scored since from the third quarter to like about halfway into the fourth. That's literally Brunson's game. Fourth quarter is just all Brunson. And so I feel like that's why it's a missed opportunity for the Knicks this season. However, their window is not closed. And this is why. It sucks to say this, because even as a Knicks fan, I might not like Benedict Mathurin. We might just, as New York fans, period, don't like Boston. But we don't want to see people injured. But we have to take into account when talking about the window of a championship window, injuries. Celtics, Tatum's gone. Most likely out for the season. Even if he miraculously recovers early. He's going to be, back at the end of the season? They're already trading away Porzingis. They already traded away Drew Holiday. It's not going to get any better. Pacers are a tricky one. You saw in Game 7 that they could do it without Tyrese Halliburton. They would just have to figure out who's the facilitator at that moment. Who's going to push the pace? Without Halliburton, can we switch to a slower pace and still score? Still assist? So Pacers are one to watch, but without Halliburton, I feel like that pace is going to slow down, and that favors the Knicks. Celtics, Pacers, I feel like Knicks can get past if we come across them in the playoffs next year. Milwaukee Bucks. Knicks had a great season again. Like I said, I know season is different than playoffs, but when you have no playoffs records to go off of, Milwaukee Bucks they play to the Knicks' favor. Heavy, especially with Damian Lillard gone, it's going to be heavy Giannis play. He's going to get tired after going through bodies for the whole game. He's not like he's going to ruck for like 120, which the Knicks can put on. Bulls, do I think the Knicks should be able to take out the Bulls? Yes. I feel like in a 7-game series, would the Knicks take out the Bulls? Yes. Heat, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo matching him up with Mitch. Tyler Hero, OG or McCall. Done. We're not even talking about that one. Knicks got that one. Hawks. Hawks are another tricky one. They just acquired Porzingis. Now, you can say, oh, but the Celtics had a better team with Porzingis. Yeah, that's true. But Trae Young and the Hawks do things to their play style is an issue to the Knicks. Look, I'm going to look at it right now. Hold on. Assist ratio. Hawks are 5th in assist ratio. And pacing, let's find out what their pacing is. And 3rd in pace. They beat the Indiana Pacers in assist ratio and in pace. Add Porzingis to that, that's going to be an issue. But the last thing that comes into it is talent. And I feel like Hawks don't have enough talent to face the Knicks next year. So far. They added Porzingis. But so far. So I think, for the most part, the East is open for the Knicks. However, we can't get carried away. We can't be like, oh, it's guaranteed. Because we still have to face Cleveland. A team we didn't beat at all during the season. We still have to see what happens with the 76ers. Is Embiid coming back healthy? Yeah, we smoked those guys last year. But they're a whole different team. Will Paul George stay healthy? We can't lie and act like Paul George and Embiid, when healthy, are not great. We can't lie and act like Tyrese Maxey is not good. And then they got the new boy. The one who paints his nails and do the TikToks. I forgot his name. I think it's McCain. But he nice too. You add all those together, the 76ers, if healthy, are a team to watch out for next season. So right now, the top 3 in the East would be Cleveland, Knicks, and probably the Sixers. Orlando Magic are another team that is most likely going to be in the playoffs. I feel like with their pacing, I don't know with the Desmond Bane thing if he's going to help with assist and pacing, but with their assist and pacing being bottom half, I feel like, yes, their defense is good, but if you ain't scoring, which we saw during their series with the Celtics, you're not going to be an issue for the Knicks. With the West, I'll be quite honest. Okay. This is the issue, right, with the West. It's so wishy-washy that any team could come out the West. But if SGA plays the way he played last game, Game 7, OKC will repeat. Mark my words. If SGA plays the way he played Game 7, OKC will repeat. And what do I mean by that? OKC, like I just finished saying multiple times, is a heavy paced team with low assist ratios. They don't assist a lot. But SGA was dishing that ball last game. Game 7, he was dishing it. And if OKC implements that to their game for next season, it's over. It's over. Even if the Knicks make it to the finals, I don't see the Knicks beating OKC if they learn to move the ball more. Knicks, on the other hand, in order to make it to the finals, there's things that they gotta do more. They gotta defend fast-paced teams, the three-point line, and teams that assist better. Because yeah, that 13th is okay, but you gotta be ranking higher than that. They gotta get the defensive rebounds way better. Can't allow teams to get second chance points. They gotta play way faster, and they gotta assist more. So yes, it's okay. Did they miss an opportunity? Yes. But is their window closed? No. I don't believe that their window's closed. I believe next year is the year where their window will close. If they don't get it next year, I feel like everybody's gonna come back healthy. We're gonna see some movement, and unless they make some big move to upgrade the roster, I think next year will be where the high chances of us winning a championship will start to dwindle down. Not that we won't be able to win a championship, but it won't be as easy as next year. And yeah, we gotta get that assist percentage. We gotta move the ball more. And which brings me to the next topic for the next video. Is Brunson a ball hog? Yes or no? I'll cover that next video. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And comment your thoughts on if the Knicks missed their opportunity or do they have another chance next year. Thank you.